Hope all is well. This video is on Hagalaz. It's Stada, Galder, movement, meditation, and practice. When it comes to its Stada, basically, everybody, me included, this is basically what I work with when it comes to that. With the Elder Futhark, I would do a Hagalaz, but against like a flat wall or a tree or whatever you want to create that kind of English 8 slanted 8 shape. Yeah, so and then for the movement it's basically the same, but then I also included legs. So in this sense it's really activating all aspects of your body, also forward and backward. So I add so this is the traditional kind of movement with Hagalaz, for the Stada actually. And so then with me, then I'll also include different movements, because we're talking, it's not this like two-dimensional shape, but when we think of Hagalaz, it's almost like, almost think of the atomic energy symbol and its way of just constantly moving in all ways, just like subatomic particles do. Let's see. So that's the movement. With working with the Galder sound, I work with and that also, when you make that sound, it actually compresses down in the gut. So that's really powerful. Working earlier with building energy. That. Okay, so for me, all right. So Hagalaz begins the second ayat, right? And so the first ayat really was just about focusing on the physical body, and also integrating some of the practices into your daily life and other domains and dimensions within your being. But for the most part, the focus was on the physical body, becoming more in tune with the body's energy, learning to start to work with it, build it. With the second ayat, the focus is on the psychological plane. So basically, our mental realm, our emotional realm, memories, different aspects of our self, right? So we'll talk about the different levels of soul in later videos. In the second ayat, the real focus is all about really becoming aware of who we are and what we believe and the relationships we have. Every domain and dimension of our being, we consciously focus on it, and we're like, all right, we'll take stock objectively on who we are today at this moment. And for me, that's not a locked state of being, right? For me, I look at the sense of self in 3 different ways. The first way is just a conditional self, which is all about our upbringing and the relationships we have and circumstances and just the luck and shit that came about in our lives. Like all those things shaped us consciously, unconsciously on the most part, because we're just living our life and just kind of getting jarred around or pushed or pulled, and so through that, habits and beliefs form, and the sense of self solidifies, and here we are. This is the conditioned self. And so the second A, it's all about, all right, no, we define ourselves. We're not letting society and all that other stuff define who I am, right? That's what brought me here, and that is part of me, but my identity is solely in my hand, right? This is my mind and my body. And granted, there's some things that I don't have control of, but the things I do have control of, I'm taking control, and I'm doing it consciously, right? And that's not easy, and it's often fraught with doubt and failure and a bunch of other shit. But the more that you grasp on your life and you choose that this is my life, and I'm going to think and do as I choose, right? And I own the responsibilities, because that's the other side of it. You got to own it. You can cry and complain about your upbringing shit and say that's who I am, but bullshit to that, right? Bullshit. Because I'm coming from a place where I was abandoned by 3 different families. I lived on the streets for 6 years. I spent half of my youth in juvenile prisons, California Youth Authority and stuff. I've had every number of things happen to me. There is no fucking excuse, right? We have our habits and our behaviors, and those do influence and affect our path and our trajectory in life, right? Because that's what brought us here. But now in the second ayat, and especially with Hagalaz, it's time to fucking face the truth, of yourself objectively, right? Don't just you have all these high ideals, right, of this enlightened, perfected being, and somehow, because it's in our mind, that is who we are. But we are what we are, and our relationships and our circumstances are a direct result of that, right? So now it's time to look at life, to look at your behaviors, to look at your beliefs, to look at your relationships, to look at your circumstances and everything else in your life, and take stock, and then start to recognize the things that are depleting you, that are fucking you up, that are making you sick, that are taking you down paths that are not fulfilling, right? There's plenty of um, yeah, there's plenty of things in life that satisfy parts of ourselves, right? And we're not just this like, we're a spectrum of energy, right? So there's different layers of experience and fulfillment, right? I can be like just a taker. Let's just say I take and I take and I take, and yeah, it's serving me, right? Because I'm getting these things, but I'm poisoning my environment, and that eventually comes back on us, right? So recognize that. So part of really understanding who we are is that it oftentimes, and definitely in my experience, it really shifts us to see what we want, right? It really defines us in that way too, because we see where we're at, and some things, there's definitely some things in my life I haven't liked, right? And they haven't been easy to address, but through addressing them, uh, I become aware of what I really want in life, what really fulfills me on multiple different levels of being, and not just like on the lower end of things. Right? When you use it energetically, it's you can use it for breaking up things, breaking up thought patterns, changing beliefs, ending relationships, or even like breaking up blocks so that you can create new relationships. Right? It's it is just an energy, right? It's a force that when we can consciously use it, direct it, and focus it, it can be used as a tool. Otherwise, it is something that just, because chaos and shit happens in life, and it could just break things in ways that we might not like, right? So when we consciously start to walk on this path, those times and those forces can be used towards change, or to creating or inviting those things that we want in our life. So for instance, let's say say something simple where I'm just fixated. Something just really got to me, and I just can't let it go. Like it's affecting my daily life. Like maybe even I'm having difficulty sleeping because it's just scenarios are churning, or things it should say, or things I'm gonna say. Blah. It could just keep going on and on and on and on. And even if I've had some like, oh yeah, that's it, that's the resolution, it just keeps churning. Like I just sometimes might not be able to stop. Right? There's been plenty of times where that's been the case, and so initially, especially when I first started really getting into Rune yoga, I would like stand up, get in that posture, and just forcefully use this energy in my mind like a freaking chaotic sledgehammer to slam into these thoughts and end them, right? And so that was just a simple example of how utilizing Hagalaz in its movement, and another example is just being able to release, right? Utilizing the sound. Just let it go, right? Right? The hurt, the pain, the shame, any of that stuff. Like it doesn't necessarily always have to be this like really destructive, forceful power. It's just change in a way, right? And sometimes change is a good thing, and sometimes it's not. But when we consciously start to walk a path, and you know we practice, right? We're disciplined and we do it. It's not just something we read about, practice once or twice, but like it is a daily thing, sometimes minutely thing, right? We are who we are because of the world around us. Now in the second A, it's we are who we are because this is who we choose to be, and how we are, and what we believe, and it, and it's not based off of the past. It's this moment in time now, what I choose, who I want to be, what I want to do, what I seek to accomplish, who I want to surround myself with, right? It's these conscious choices, and now walking a path is about making that happen, right? Because if it's not happening, if something's not gonna, you can wish and dream all you want, but if you don't actively go about it, I mean, you can pray and you'd be like, oh, bring this to me, and shit happens, and that'll happen, of course. You're just being open to it, but that's not my way, and that sure as hell is not, in my experience, the heathen way. We're about fucking doing it, right? We're about making it happen. We ain't waiting for some force or God or something to bring something to us. We're gonna take it and we're gonna do it, right? And for me, I want to do it in a positive and uplifting way to build up my community and stuff. I'm not just about, of course I'm about my family and family first, and my extended friends, but it is really the health of it all, because you can have a dying body and a couple healthy cells, and that shit's gonna die and you die, right? So it's we got to see the interconnection of it all and start to lift each other up. But anyhow, that went on a little sidetrack there. So yeah, so Hagalaz is really, to me, about breaking shit up, patterns and blocks and wounds, and it's time to heal and it's time to grow, and yeah, so that to me is like really what Hagalaz is about. All right, so for the next 2 weeks, choose something, nothing complicated and massive, like changing careers or stopping drinking. Do something simple, something that you can either, some positive thing you can incorporate in your life on a daily basis, like just take 5 minutes a day to just breathe and feel the earth and air and world touch you for just a couple seconds, or cut out an hour of screen time, or do something that is you genuinely can accomplish, right? And now focus on that, right? Something that's going to improve your life in one way or another, and just get into that habit. Yeah, so something simple and easy that you can shift, because the idea is just learning the process of how to process, how to like become aware of something, recognize how it affects your life, figuring out if that's what you want, and if not, what can you do to address that, and then start working towards that, doing the practices necessary, or doing the actions, or saying those things necessary to accomplish your aim, right? And so it's a simple, like, what do I want, how do I get it, and let's do it, right? That's basically this process. And okay, so that's where the Hagalaz rune meditation ritual comes into play, is that after we've kind of, this is who we are, this is a behavior that we do, it is not serving us very well, what do we want, right? But at this point, it's just like, okay, we got this habit and this behavior, and it's not what we want. So how do we deal with that, right? And for me, it's all about focus and intention, and then incorporating the runic energies just makes it that much more powerful and effective, to bring it about. All right. So next video, be well and be blessed.
Odin, Thor, Freyr, Freya, Sif, Frigga.